Okay, so good morning and welcome to Monkhouse on Mondays. Today I am honoured to be joined by Dave Stalker. David, how are you today?
I'm fantastic, David. It's a real privilege to be on this.
Good, excellent. Now, you and I are both addicted to our My Zones. So how are you getting on? What are you doing to stay active during lockdown?
Actually, yeah, we're both addicted to my zone. And having been in this industry like you for a long time, it's funny. It's taken me back to sort of kind of where when I was an instructor. So setting up a circuit in the garden. They call it hit training now. I call it circuits. And going for a cycle. Got a dog. It's an English setter. Needs a lot of walking. Yeah, exercise hasn't dropped off at all. In some ways, I've actually really enjoyed being able to do it in the garden. It's all over and done within 45 minutes to an hour. Sharing it on my zone, the social side, channel challenges and things like that. In fact, I'm bound to say it because obviously I'm CEO of my zone EMEA and APAC. But
Yeah.
that socialization of my zone has just really been fantastic for me. Yeah.
Absolutely. The connectivity has just been great. And to some extent, it's why I'm doing these conversations, because this gives me that chance to connect with people that I'm not getting normally. So these have been really useful for me, I have to say. But my zone, we're just going to put on the side for one moment, because I want to talk to you about the work you're doing with Europe Active at the moment. So can you give us some insight as to what's going on at Europe within the sector?
Yeah, as I'm president of Europe Active, and I took on that role really to time with COVID-19. It was all the best planning. I was the acting executive director, and Andreas Poulsen has taken that role. And really, the feeling was that this was the moment where Europe Active needed to show its true colours. Europe Active, obviously, sitting there in Brussels and not trying to step on the feet of trade associations across Europe, of which, of course, UK Active being the big player. But there are others in Italy and Spain and Portugal and Germany who are also doing a good job. And Europe Active was sort of that European Parliament bit. Slightly wider because with Brexit, but UK still remains part of Europe, so we're very much part of that. So my view was that that the minute this sort of crisis happened, you sort of had a bailout of Brussels, and everything became national, as we saw. And as we saw, I think the Italians and the Spanish rightfully felt, pretty wow. No one, it's all become borders and we can't cross them and we've got to deal with it ourselves. Our sector has always been a close-knit group of people. So from Europe Active's point of view, it was, let's see how we can gather the best information about what's going on. We can have one central resource to put it in, and that's where at the very beginning was about just best practices, what's happening, trying to see a positive side, and the bringing of documents from all those countries, putting them on the Europe Active website, translating them where possible to English, but in their national tongues as well. And out of that, I think Europe Active pretty well led in terms of the webinar agenda. And that was looking and saying, well, our sector has operators, has suppliers, has instructors, whether they're EREPs or working with Tara at SIMSPA or whatever it happens to be. What we need to do is we need to be getting these people on. And no one's a magician. No one knows what the future is going to be like, but we've got educated views. So getting the best people on and getting them on webinars and giving people the opportunity to learn and prepare for whatever the new normal is going to be, and to take on ideas. So a series of webinars, originally very much focused on operators and the tech sector, because there was this big boom in digitalization and understanding that, but then focusing right down on instructors and starting to look, and Dr. Paul Bedford had been on and things like that, and understanding that our people are also going to be coming back to a strange environment, and things like that. So it's building on these webinars. Now, what happened, of course, the world took on webinars. I mean, there was webinars, all over the place. So it's a matter of trying to make them as effective as possible, and then this underpinned by having the heads of all the trade associations joining once a week, so we could share best and worst case scenarios. Now it's all culminating this Saturday, assuming your note goes out before this Saturday, at 5 o'clock Central European time and 4 o'clock British Summer Time. There'll be the Be Active Hour, where various people will be putting on classes, and in the UK we know Bear Grylls is doing something, MyZone are doing something with David Lloyd's, and so it goes on and on. Loads of people, Technogym, Life, Matrix, and so we start celebrating the enthusiasm of activity. And on the back of this, because health and fitness and feeling great has been such a core message in this whole thing of of where we need to be for immunity and things like this in the future. The European Parliament, who frankly seem to have disappeared at the beginning, but seem to have come back at the highest level, at commissioner level, are supporting this. So it's been a journey of information gathering, information sharing, looking at best practice, trying to guess at what the new normal's being, looking at other industries, and then helping the industry relaunch itself on the back of what will be the Be Active hour.
I have to say, I've been absolutely fascinated, because I'll be honest, Europe Active wasn't really on my radar before, but the level of intelligence, the level of support, the work being done around the new standards, so EN 17229, the operation of clubs, the online learning, and those types of things have been really quite impressive. But what do you think what does it mean? How can we capitalize on that message around physical activity that we've all heard every day on the news? What are we, the Be Active campaign is brilliant, and Friday will be fab. But how can we maximize that impact?
Well, how we maximize the impact is not losing the momentum. It's really, I can really go back to UK Active days. In fact, I can go back to FIA days, be it that obviously UK Active is really the majority of my history, or we both share the SIMSPA journey. We have been knocking at the doors of government forever, in the UK, saying, well, with National Health Service, National Sickness Service, we are the crucial, all these man-made problems. And it's not just COVID, whether it's diabetes, overweight, whatever it happens to be. We knew we had the solution. But we battled against pharma giants and the lobbying power of them, the lobbying power of the nutrition, the fast food industry, and the rest of it. So to get to your point, this is the first time, by default, really strangely, suddenly we've been capitalized front and center. And center, whether you take Boris talking about activity or the commissioner talking about activity, everyone mentions it in every speech. So really it is now for trade associations in their regions and Europe Active, but more importantly, the big companies who have influence, whether you take GoFit in Spain or Basic Fit or Humphrey with Pure, these people need to now work with those trade associations on saying, okay, we're not going back to not being listened to. It's not a soundbite anymore. We need to look at how do we get active? Is it suddenly possible that we can really have the argument about VAT on membership properly from a health journey? Can we talk to the National Health Service in the UK and make health and fitness part of the agenda for medics? I mean, it's next to nothing in a medics course right now, certainly. And things like that. So what we actually do is we don't let the momentum go. We don't let the momentum go with time. We don't let the momentum go with the commercial pressures that we all have. And the fact that we're sitting here and we tend to sit in a bubble, but every other industry is coming back and is going to be looking at how do we get our pound of flesh and how do we work this forward. But has there ever been a time when the health, fitness and leisure industry has been at the front? Never at this point. What we can't do, of course, is we can't risk getting it wrong. We've got to get it right.
No, absolutely. And I think that health of our communities and health of our people is really important. But I think the health of the planet is also pretty important at the moment. And we've noticed some real changes. And I know you do some work around wildlife conservation. I think you work with Marwell and things like that. Just give me a little bit of insight as to what's going on there and how this pandemic is changing maybe the way the world is the health of the world.
Yeah, all I would say to everyone listening, just look outside and look at the colour of the sky.
Yeah.
Gosh, yes, I'm chairman of Marwell Zoo, and I was born and brought up in Kenya, and I'm a conservationist at heart, but I'm an environmentalist, not to the level and fanaticism of many others, but I don't think there's anyone I don't speak to who doesn't say, gosh, did you look up at the North Star, how bright it is, and all these things. So I think that the apart from the obvious, pangolins shouldn't be on the diet menu, or all the things that the World Wildlife Fund tries to do about endangered species, we need to do to pay more than lip service to it. And of course, there's a downside. Poaching is increasing in this period of time because people need food, and there isn't the economy into those sub-Saharan countries. They're not getting tourism. There's less money. It results in bush poaching and things like that. But from an environmental point of view, what I would love, and I'm really going to take this actively forward, so it's, me, I've got the bit between my teeth. I would really like everybody in this industry, from cleaner, personal trainer, manager, owner, just to say one thing that I'm going to change going forward as I come out of this, that is going to keep this planet or help this planet stay healthy. We're having a chat here. We haven't had to meet up in London. We're having a chat on here. I meet with various managers once a week. I don't need to do that anymore. I can do it on Zoom and the rest of it. So I'm going to make small changes. What I would like to see is, to various levels, this industry saying, as we come back in, not only are we going to make a great big difference to the health of the nation, but we are going to keep the momentum going on the difference we've made we've made to this planet, which, if we're honest, is just a complete byproduct, but we mustn't let it go. Yeah.
No, and I totally agree. And I think that message about doing something different is really, really important, David, whether that's environmental, whether it's physical health, whether it's just the way we live our lives, just simply the behavior change that you can achieve by a pandemic has just been incredible. Absolutely fantastic. David, thank you so much for your time. We could have talked for hours, but we've had our time. That is really, really useful and insightful. And this will go out in time to make sure that we can push that Be Active piece that Europe Active are currently doing. So, David, thank you so much for your time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you, David.